التسامح واجب. إذا كان أعظم العظماء الخالق عز وجل يسامح، فنحن بشر خلقنا ما نتسامح. نحن بشر كلنا أخوان، اللي بيصير على هذا الطريق ولا بيصير على هذاك ولا بيصير على هذا. المصيب هو أخو والغلطان أخو. طيب ليش ما نساعد الغلطان نجيبه إلى الصواب، ونسامح الغلطان إذا غلط حتى أنه يفهم أن نحن والله ننجده، ما نتركه ولا ننبذه، لا بل أن ننجده ونساعده حتى يجي على الطريق الصحيح. أي إنسان بيسعفه إنسان بينساه؟ ما ينساه. وأن نسيه صديقه بيقول له ها نسيت هذا الإنسان اللي أسعفك في هذاك الوقت اللي كنت أنت تعبان؟ فلا بد أن يرجع إلى صواب، لا بد أن يرجع إلى صواب.
الإسلام سمح ومحب ويجمع. لما يقول لك الإسلام سلام للعالمين ما يقصد المسلمين، يقصد كل العالمين اللي على وجه الأرض.
لكن نحن كعرب تعلمنا دائما نقول نحن صح. ترى في ناس وايد صح هناك تحت الطرف الثاني من الكرة الأرضية، والطرف الآخر صح أيضا. ومتفائل جدا في 50 سنة الجاية، مع العلم أن نحن في منطقة غير مستقرة، منطقة صعبة فيها تحديات، فيها وجهات نظر مختلفة. لكن أنا عندي قناعة بلادنا الإمارات اليوم مثل النور اللي منور في أرض مظلمة، قدوة للآخرين، قدوة حسنة. فدولة الإمارات بغض النظر عن التحديات في المنطقة إلا أن قدوة حسنة لمنطقة في الشرق الأوسط. كم رسالة إيجابية طلعت من منطقة الشرق الأوسط للعالم، ولكن نحن نحاول نرسل رسائل إيجابية توصل شرق وغرب أقصاه من إلى أقصاه.
Kindly turn your phone into silent. Kindly also fill in the form that you have. Peace be upon you. Greetings all, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings to everybody. On behalf of Dr. Jamal Sanad al-Suwaidi, the manager of the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies, I would like to welcome you today with our lecture about under the title The Importance of Human Fraternity Document in Consolidating Tolerance and Dialogue by His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Al-Jarwan, President of Global Council for Tolerance and Peace, United Arab Emirates. Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al-Jarwan began his career as an officer in UAE Armed Forces, and he moved up the ranks to become Staff Colonel Fit Engineer. In 2011, he was selected member of the UAE Federal National Council. He later extended his activities beyond the UAE to become member of the Arab Parliament at the League of the Arab States. He was selected chairman of the Foreign, Political and National Security Affairs Committee. In 2017, he became elected as the president of the International Council for Tolerance, and he works in coordination with many different organizations and different countries. In 2019, he was elected as the head of the Arabic experts, the committee that works on the Arab expertise. Now, It's my pleasure to invite him to deliver his speech. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate, His Excellency Jamal Ahmed Swaidi, Your Highness, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, greeting everyone. I'd like to thank the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research to organize this lecture in response to the initiatives of Mohammed bin Zayed in 2019 that to become a year of tolerance. I would like to discuss in this lecture a subject of the importance of the Human Fraternity Document through two pillars. The first one is the importance of the Human Fraternity as a constitution for the world, and the importance of that document as a roadmap for the humanity, and address the role that the Tolerance Council do to activate this document. The Human Fraternity Document can be a framework for the global constitution based on the comparing between the objective of issuing this document. Constitutions are there to organize the peoples and also build a structure for people, and also constitutions build a vision and structure for people, and that's what we can see in this document. And this is a document that also concerned with the structure for all humanity, and it doesn't address all details. It really considers all nations regardless of the different cultures and religions. This document, it doesn't require an international and a global constitution, and it's not also obligatory, but it has a moral obligation based on the hopes and of humanity of most vulnerable people. This document has a very high value. Therefore, all countries and organizations and all institutions should address and should consider this document and should work according to their articles. And this document also can be considered as the new constitution and as a new global constitution. And the best practices that it contains, whether it's in the free thinking or the freedom to believe in any religion, and this document has called to criminalize any act of accusing people or mistreating others. And this also document has many values and many best practices, and this document constituted the equality for anyone, for everyone. And this document also dictated the human rights, where it included the right for women to educate and for education and for political life, and the importance of freeing women and liberating women from all chains and shackles, whether political or social or cultural. And the documents also demanded the stop of any bad practices upon women, and to modify legislations that do not grant the rights of women. And the documents also granted the rights of a child to have a proper food and a proper education and a proper uprising. The documents also included the rights of vulnerable and elderly people. And the document also demanded the rights to protect those vulnerable and elderly people. The documents also put all those rights in the frame of tolerance and coexistence, and the right practice for exercising those rights. Therefore, I believe that this document has enhanced our value of tolerance. The Human Fraternity as a roadmap for humanity this document was born as a guide for new generations. So I believe this document can be considered as a roadmap for humanity. This document described the current crisis and found out, also indicated the cause of those crises. And the document didn't really address the small details, but it was worded and phrased in generally like institutions. So the document didn't left the details for the mechanism that can be issued later. So the document described the current situation. The document described the current situation from a very positive point of view, where we are witnessing a very big leap in technology and advancement. On the other hand, we have a clear deterioration of ethics and morality. And the morality and the values have deteriorated in the same hand as we can see a big leap in technology and advancement. And that led many people to engage in extremism or atheism or other type of extremism, which is religious extremism, which leads to destruction. And one of the most important points that addressed in the document is describing the current situation as the Third World War, which we can see its ugly face all over the place. Third, the cause, the reasons that led to current crisis. The document mentioned four reasons. First reason, the religion, the social and political, and fourth, the economical. The document mentioned that the most important, the reason of our crisis is the lack of consciousness and the individualism and materialism that placed the material up on the spirit, and the policies of extremisms that we can see it evident all around us, and the profitability that is led to greed and destruction, and injustice and fairness, and the lack of appropriate distribution for the resources. And the document also mentioned many crises that we currently live as a result of the armed race that we have been witnessing for the last 20 years, and racism and so on and so forth. Third, the document also created a roadmap. The document also called up on countries and organizations and institutions to be responsible in dealing with the humanitarian crisis, which was specified and described by the document. And one of those organizations is the international organization, and the leaders and intellectuals and the international policy makers and intellectuals and philosophers and artists and media professionals and schools and universities and institutions. And the document specified the role that should each and every department and institution play a role, and the document has specific roles for each and every institution without mentioning what that role is. We need to mention the values of this document relies on the hopes and ambitions of billions of people without without forcing any organization to play a specific role. Therefore, I would like to point out that we in the Tolerance Council that I have the honor to lead, I have started by myself, and since we are specialists in our council in terms of tolerance, I will work on whatever happened on that documents in our department. And I would like also to point out that His Excellency, and we are very pleased in our council that the content of this document is in line with our values and in line with our plan, which means that we are going on the right path. And this document is a motivation for us to exert our efforts to reach our goals and to get to the goals that contained in the document. And in the following, I will explain the rule that is assigned to each and every department that was mentioned in the document. And I will mention in details each one. For example, the regional organization and international organization. The document demanded those organizations to spread the values all over the world and to translate those values into policies and decisions. For example, the International Parliament for Tolerance. The International Parliament for Tolerance is one of the tools, and it includes many members from other national parliaments. And currently we have 50 members, and it is expected to hold the next meeting in Germany. And after that, we have another meeting in Argentina, and the Argentina will hold the meeting next time. And the international, the goals for the parliament is to improve the legislation, the local, international, and regional legislation to meet the expectations of the nations and people. And we shall enhance the document from legal and legislative perspective in addition to improve the rules and regulation of the international law to be in line with the values of the documents. And we shall review the documents with the international committees. Second, the social committees and philosophers and thinkers and artists. The document called upon them to work to implement what the content of the document, and there is no doubt the social institutions have a role to play, and the document called upon those organizations and those individuals to preach and spread the values of the document and to work hard to spread those values all over the world. So the Tolerance Council, the International Tolerance Council, is the second department. It includes many non-governmental organizations, and it includes also media professionals and thinkers. And the goals is to spread the values of tolerance and implement the different events all over the world aiming at spreading tolerance. In other words, the objectives of this committee is in line with the content of the document. In the next session, which is scheduled in Lahai, this document will also suggest some mechanisms for the members. Third, the rules of schools and universities and institutions. The document requested schools and university to defend the vulnerables and weak people and poor people all over the world, and also called schools to improve the syllabus and curriculum and include the notion of tolerance and to plant peace. The program of planting peace is one of the programs that have been approved by the council, and this program is aiming to base the values of tolerance in the new generation by coming up with new designed curriculum and syllabus that include the notion and the concept of tolerance, so we can educate the new generation to be familiar with the notion and the concept of tolerance. Fourth, the media. The media has to play a role. The documents demanded the media to play an effective role in spreading the notion of tolerance. The International Council has discussed in its previous sessions the role of media in spreading the values of tolerance, and the Parliament has issued a decision at the end of his session, and that declaration has stated that the media should play a greater role in promoting the notion or the concept of tolerance. And there is no doubt the international media can have a greater effect and can play a greater role in spreading the notion and the tolerance all over the world. And also media should be unbiased. And fifth, the role of religious people or scholar people. And the document has called upon scholar people, whether they are from any religion, to play a role to fight the individualism and also to fight extremism. The International Tolerance Council has also played a role where it has built a relationship with all religious institutions and also built a relationship with all religious figures all over the world. And Sheikh Dr. His Excellency Ahmed Al-Tayyib, I met him in person, and also I met the Minister of Religions in Kazakhstan, and we had an agreement in Kazakhstan. In that regard, the council worked together with one of the leaders of the Christian community, and I met also Patriarch Antalya in Lebanon. In addition to, I met many religious figures from different parts of the world, where we discussed the role the council can play to improve and implement what the content of the documents. At the end, I would like to emphasize that the international institutions should consider and should work according to this document. And I'm quite confident that this document will have a very good positive impact in enhancing tolerance. I tried to read this lecture quickly, if you can notice, because I don't want to take too much of your time, to give me a chance to talk and elaborate, and also to allow kind of discussion with the floor. You know that UAE is the host the international event that has enriched the humanity and enriched the values of tolerance by signing the Human Fraternity Document, which was signed by the Pope Francis and Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, and the host was Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. And UAE was the host, and the people of UAE was the host and hosted that event and host these initiatives, which the whole world received in a very good manner. So thanks to God, what we have in the document, we worked for 2 years. and it has been, we could actualize, we could implement the values of that document. After we got that document issued, we realized we are on the right path. And this document plays a very distinguished role. We work in collaboration with 50 countries all over the world. And when I talk about 50 countries, I'm dealing with the presidents of those countries, and talk with the chairman of the parliament, and talk with the officials of this parliament, and who praise the role the UAE plays, and by the initiatives His Highness Mohammed bin Zayed launched. And those countries, they praised the readiness of our country. And I'm quite proud that we live in a country that is tolerant, and we work to implement this document to become a global constitution. I would like to thank you all. I would like also to thank Dr. Jamal, and I hope that I would learn from you, and I would like to open the floor for the questions. Thank you very, very much. Shukran for His Excellency Ahmed Al-Jarwan for this lecture, for this valuable lecture. Now we will open the discussion. Kindly, whoever would like to ask a question, kindly stand up, introduce yourself, and ask your question, and give it your question in a nutshell, please. Najat Saeed, academic researcher in media and development. My question is, we cannot talk about tolerance without considering the extremists, the political Islamist extremists. There is no unity, regional and international. There is no consensus. If you can notice, for the West is divided. The left and the right. The left is in line with the political Islamic science. The right also considers all Muslims are terrorists, without distinguishing between an average Muslim and extremist. Now, no matter how much we talked about our efforts haven't been unified to face those ideologies. We only have our efforts unified only when there is a risk in the West. So all the books that have been published haven't been read or considered. Only when there is a risk, when there is an event in the West, then we start working together. Now, when we had the historian visit by the Pope, so in the West, in the media, we find attack. I've read some articles and essays in New York Times and National Post. So instead of encouraging us, they started criticizing and attacking the Pope for visiting UAE, and they said it's just only general relationship. So the Western media is no longer is just like Al Jazeera channel, which is led by the Muslim Brotherhood. To me, I'm quite very positive about UAE, but I'm not positive about the regional and international. UAE is a good country, but UAE by itself cannot combat extremism all over the world. Thank you very much for this question. I think a very important question, and it's something that we need to learn from. The International Council for Tolerance is a department concerned with the implementing the values of tolerance, and the component of this council it's also driven by the three religions, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, in addition to other cultures that we can learn and benefit from. We work with our stakeholders, and we have 50 countries that we work in collaboration with. Now lately we have Germany on our list in Europe, and we have also Italy on the way. Portugal asking to be the host of our council. What we are concerned about the political Islam or the image of Islam or Muslims. I am a Muslim. I'm honored to defend the image of Islam, and our brothers and partners and Christians, they're honored to present the positive image of the Christianity, and that the same with other cultures and religions. But I apologize. I don't want to disagree. We are not concerned with defending religion or defending Islam or defending. We are concerned to spread the values of tolerance, to work together to spread the values of tolerance. And I have good news for you. Most of our members are from non-Muslim countries. And we have 3 or 4 Muslim countries on board, or maybe 3 or 4 Arabic countries. And we mean that. There are supporters, there are negative and pros and cons, but all that political Islam and political parties, we want to stay away from policy or political issues. We don't need to deal with politicians. There are ministers of foreign. Those people are concerned with politicians and political issues, but we are not concerned with political. We don't want to overlap. We don't want to mix things up. We need just to spread the values of tolerance from academic point of view and from media point of view. From academic point of view, represented in asking a specialist in designing the curriculum, the syllabus to educate from kindergarten to university. We don't teach them Islam. We don't teach them Christianity. We don't teach them Judaism. We teach them the values of tolerance. We teach them the values to work hand in hand, because we are humanity. This is the main goal of the International Council for Tolerance, in academic point of view, to build the curriculum and syllabus and ask experts. We are not experts. I'm not an expert. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer. But there are experts from her delegates. We have experts in designing syllabus and curriculum. So our council is trying to pave the way for those experts to design those curriculum, and we will be host of that of those events, and in collaboration with our universities. That's why I talked a bit fast, because I wanted to engage with you in discussion. We've asked universities and research centers to design curriculums in master degree and PhD degree for tolerance, and the council will send students to spread the values and peace. In addition to that, we invited media men to work along that line, to work along with the students and academic, to work on peace and tolerance. We don't want to talk politics. We don't want to talk. We are against the political Islam. Political Muslim Brotherhood, they did great harm to Muslims. And also our brothers from Christianity, from other religions, they agree with us that there are moderate people in Islam and there are also extremists. But in the Quran, the verses, it says, "Lakum dinakum waliya din," which is your faith, and I have faith, and you cannot force people to become Muslim. In our work, we spread the values of tolerance so we can speak the same language. Rida Mustafa, Your Excellency, it's not a question, but it's a comment. I would like to since you, in your capacity as the head of the council, I would like to add that the late Sheikh Zayed, his first quotes should be added to the document, because that's the vision of the late Sheikh Zayed, that his speech, his quotations should be added to the document and should be translated and should be added to the document. We work on that. We work on establishing the global constitution for tolerance. We are working on the global constitution, and the late Sheikh Zayed was a man of a school. So we are working on that. This is Engineer Asma Abbas, and a media man, and then the manager of the Consolidating from Denmark, Danish. It's non-profit organization, fights extremism. My question to Your Excellency, before I have a request. I would like to greet you for this initiatives, and I would like to greet Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. UAE, some people might wonder about those great achievements, and that you have added 50 countries to your list in a very short period of time. But it's not strange that the UAE accepting and receiving UAE with its great achievements that it has achieved over the years. So now, in my capacity as one of the chairman of those organizations that work in Europe, to fight extremism and radicalization and spread peace and tolerance, we lack something. We lack unifying the efforts in many organizations. However, each organization works in a silo. It works with its extra resources. Many of us are volunteers with very limited resources. Sometimes we seek funds from governments. Do you think the International Council and Peace has a role to play in unifying the work and organizing it, distributing the rules? I believe in this council there is a very valuable opportunity to achieve the goals and objectives of those organizations and institutions. Today we don't have a framework. We don't have a framework that we can work accordingly, because one of us, or almost all of us, if you look at the objectives and visions, our strategies as well, we all the same, almost similar to a great extent. Do you think your council can play a role in distributing those roles? I would like to thank you, Engineer Asma. What I agree with you. The 50 members agreed to come up with a committee concerned with spreading the values of tolerance. Consists of 3 pillars. The first unit, all organizations and institutions, NGOs, and all who's concerned with the spreading the tolerance, and we have 3,000 group concerned with spreading the values of tolerance. The second component is universities and the institutions, also the independents. All those organizations, they represent the committee of peace and tolerance. And as you pointed out, our council has opened the door for this, this we can learn from all experts, anyone who is concerned with peace and tolerance, also activate with our people and universities that need to kind of activation and interaction, whether it's financial support or considering or consider the support they provide to the society. I have another question. مدال عفيفي. I would like to thank His Excellency for this valuable lecture. In fact, the Fraternity Document is was a result of an international summit that took place in UAE, and His Highness Mohammed bin Zayed was the main player in making that happen. However, we have parliaments, we have armies, we have lots. This document is the first one, and it's the spiritual document. It's not a parliament, and it's not a country. We talk about the spirit, the soul, and values. This souls and values, they should be there in United Nations as one of the institutions like human rights, children's rights, human rights. The human rights, this should stop preaching like in Africa people can buy human being by some bread or some food. Dear sir, I've read your speech by the United Nations, talks about the fraternity document that we will spread all over the world. So to spread it and implement is a different issue. The Tolerance Council, when you had it in Malta, and we have representatives from different countries. Are you a result of this document or a byproduct? Then we don't need parliaments, we don't syllabus or countries. The book by Dr. Jamal, the Miraj or the Sirab. Now the question is, how can you develop this document to become one of the documents of the United Nations that should be issued on annual basis, and we should have.
وشكرا سيدي.
Thank you very much. In fact, both sides, the both main parties in the documents, in the fraternity document, which is the Muslims and Christianity. We cannot force people to be generous. You cannot force people to become honest. But you can be a role model. So we try to be a role model in our Islam. Our role model is we have a role model also in Christianity. France, the Pope is the role model for Christianity. Those are messages. Those messages that followed by those followers of Islam and Christianity. But before the International Council in UAE, we are the students of the late Sheikh Zayed. For 40 years, we've been witnessing and living tolerance. We are everything we live, everything we see around us in this center and UAE is a result of the UAE, and thanks to God. But it's all thanks to Zayed's upbringing. The late Sheikh Zayed established a school and educated the values of tolerance. To respond to your questions, yes, we cannot force. We hope that we have a curriculum or syllabus that the Muslim and Christian at the same time, and even a Jew or the Buddhist, everybody studies the same syllabus. How we coexist, how we respect, how we can be honest. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had a Jewish neighbor, and he used to deal with it, and he eats with him. So tolerance is the way you deal, and it's a style of life. So the document reflects a style of life, that the Pope called upon, and a sheikh also asked for it, and UAE hosted this event. We have 200 nationalities in UAE, and everybody welcomes. We are distinguished. We excelled that we have 200 ambassadors, and we have 200 representatives, and everybody in UAE. Those people represents UAE. Everything pleasant and positive they find in UAE, those expats living with us, when they go back to their country, can talk positively about UAE. And this is the message of tolerance. So UAE hosted this event. Let's take the last question. This is Antonios, representative of the Egyptian Church. I would like to thank you to invite me to this lecture with a lead of media men. I am not a media man, but I'm a religious person. I'm a scholar. Education or learning is not a matter, it's not about indoctrination. Education can be done by a role model, as you pointed out. The questions that have been asked, do we have the ability to implement these documents in our society? The answer is very difficult. The prophets and messengers, peace be upon them, the word hadn't been, the word had been different. The prophets and messages had difficulties. So what about us? However, UAE presented a role model. As you rightly pointed out, that the meeting of the biggest representative of Islam, Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayyib, and the biggest representative of the Christianity, the Pope Francis. That meeting is a message. Our role is to present a message. But people accept it or reject it, that's up to them. Depends on everybody's consciousness. We cannot penetrate into people's heart. Somebody might grade me and claim to love me, but he might hide something. Somebody might not grade me, but he might appreciate me. So I feel that our role is present the role model. And we are here to say, my Christian friends, that Muslim brothers love us. So I'm here as a message. That doesn't mean that I have to write great things to artists, and I don't need to write to the media, but we present another message by being a good role model. And the speech that is recorded by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, when he said, Mohammed bin Zayed, that I'm very optimistic for the 50 years to come. So being optimistic reflects on us, and our positivity will be reflected to the children. This is what we need to be. We start by ourselves. We start by our consciousness, and let's be the law, and the document is the minimal way of dealing with one another. The highest level is being conscientiousness, that our feeling, our emotions, empathy and sympathy, that a human created by God, and each one has the right to live a decent life without hate, without hatred, without violence, without bloodshed. I cannot talk like you as a media man, but I express my emotions as simple as that we need. When I hold my hand in Dr. Ahmed Al-Jarwan, that's a message to all Christians, that we love each other, and all religions came for tolerance and for love. Thank you. I'm very keen on to call you personally and invite you in person, because you have values of tolerance and love and sincerity to UAE and to the Islam, and to also as well as to Christianity. You are a Christian, and we are honored to have you with us. This is a message that we have to live side by side. We have to coexist. We have to complement each other. At the end of this lecture, I would like to repeat on behalf of Ahmed Saad Al-Swaidi, the president of the Emirates Center. I would like to thank Ahmed Al-Jarwan. I would like to thank you all, and see you again in other lecture. Thank you very much.